What did the crew on board UPS Flight 2976 psychologically experience in those final moments? What may have caused the plane to crash, and did the crew feel any pain? This video is meant to be respectful to help us understand what happens in these moments through the lens of what's called in psychology as last moment phenomenon. On November 4th, 2025, UPS cargo flight 2976 was scheduled to take off from Muhammad Ali International Airport in Louisville, Kentucky, en route to Honolulu, Hawaii, and was going to be flown by 3 experienced crew members, a captain, a first officer, and a relief captain.
Hello, UPS 2976 Heavy, spot 5 with Alpha. 17 right, via Bravo, cross 29, UPS 2976 Heavy.
During their takeoff, the aircraft sadly suffered a catastrophic failure in its #1 left engine.
The left engine detaching from the wing during the takeoff roll,
which separated from the wing and triggered a cascade of mechanical and aerodynamic problems.
3-engine layout makes it one of the most recognizable passenger jets on the runway. The plane is seconds away from lifting off.
This is not the first time that an aircraft like the MD-11 had mysteriously lost a left engine, because on May 25th, 1979, this happened to American Airlines Flight 191.
Rotate.
Did you see that?
The plane is banking sharply to the left. The pilots can't get the altitude they need, and they're banking further and further to the left.
Brace, brace, brace!
The engine fell off the plane just after they lifted off.
Yes, the left engine on nearly the same type of aircraft over 45 years ago fell off the plane because the maintenance staff were taking a shortcut when swapping out the engine for maintenance.
The normal procedure for servicing an engine involves removing it from the pylon and leaving the pylon attached to the wing. The quicker way involves taking out just 3 bolts.
They were using the forklift, cannot be finely controlled, so you get just slightly the wrong angle, and you get too much pressure on it, and you're going to crack those fittings.
Similar to this UPS Flight 2976, it was initially curious why American Airlines Flight 191 crashed, since the 3-engine plane should have been able to operate generally fine without one engine.
Flight 191 could have landed safely with one missing engine.
However, in American Airlines Flight 191, when the left engine was torn off the wing,
hydraulic lines run along the leading edge of the wing.
It also ruptured the hydraulic lines for the left wing slats that are required for takeoff.
Without fluid, some slats on the left wing retracted, causing that wing to lose lift,
therefore causing the plane to uncontrollably bank left.
The plane began to roll.
Although this type of McDonnell Douglas aircraft has been modified to prevent this exact catastrophe from occurring again,
the plane's hydraulics are also redesigned with special plugs to prevent slats and other control surfaces from retracting if the lines are cut.
This kind of accident never happened again. This engine never fell off this kind of airplane again.
This type of plane has at least a distant history of engines falling off, causing a cascade effect of critical flight problems. As we see from the video footage here, it appears that the engine was violently torn off the left wing, causing a fire in its left wing, surely causing damage to that left wing and likely its hydraulic lines, resulting in the plane unable to achieve its balanced lift, which was eerily similar to what occurred in 1979 in American Airlines Flight 191.
There he goes.
However, it seems that when the left engine failed, it also damaged one or more of the plane's remaining engines, causing the aircraft to lose thrust and sadly go down immediately.
They should be climbing out on 2 engines. The reason they're not climbing out, there's a compressor stall on the number 3 engine. They've only got 1 engine that's fully functioning for them.
About 37 seconds after the crew called for takeoff thrust, a repeating bell was heard on the CVR, which persisted until the end of the recording 25 seconds later.
This indicates that the crew was working through the issue for 25 seconds, which tracks with the short amount of time that they were in the air. It appears that right after the pilots reached V1, the point of no return where takeoff must occur even if an engine fails, they heard the warning occur, leaving them no choice but to lift off. In extreme high-stress moments like those faced by the crew of UPS Flight 2976, the brain undergoes a process known as cognitive narrowing, where attention becomes intensely focused on survival survival tasks, while peripheral awareness fades, becoming hyper-focused. Have you ever heard this happen in survival stories? This is the body's automatic response to overwhelming danger. A surge of adrenaline heightens focus, reaction time, and muscle readiness, and simultaneously limits broader thinking and emotional processing. In those final seconds, the pilots were likely not reflecting on fear or their finality, but rather locked into a razor-sharp tunnel of problem-solving, scanning instruments, managing the many alarms that were going off, and instinctively performing trained procedures to regain control of their aircraft. Have you ever been involved in an urgent situation where you were acting according to your experience and training, and later realized you were just doing and you were not thinking about exactly what you were doing? Almost every profession has moments like this. Psychologically, under such extreme conditions, time perception can distort. Seconds can feel stretched or blurred, while everything else outside the crisis fades away. Pilots are trained extensively to manage emergencies with a mindset that prioritizes composure, clarity, and procedure over their emotion. This is why we often see pilots remain calm and methodical, even in the most catastrophic situations.
I've lost power to my side.
This is largely due to training from a military-inspired model of aviation discipline, where repetition, structure,
Looks like we've lost number one.
And he's lost power from the left engine.
and strict adherence to protocol condition pilots to act instinctively under pressure. From their earliest flight instruction through advanced simulator training, they are conditioned to rely on checklists, communication, instruments, and coordination, even in moments of chaos. And what do you think this does? Yes, this repetitive training rewires their brain's stress response so that when alarms sound or when control feels lost, their vast training of working through these types of emergencies takes over before panic and confusion has a chance to set in, where emotion is temporarily suppressed and focus shifts towards regaining control or minimizing harm. They were operating in what's called in psychology as a task-focused cognitive mode,
We're losing it! Go right, go right, go right!
where rational thinking and muscle memory override fear, allowing them to keep fighting for the best possible outcome, even when the situation rationally seems no longer survivable.
Brace, brace, brace!
In moments of extreme stress, such as that experienced by the crew here, a phenomenon known as temporal distortion can dramatically alter a person's sense of time. During intense adrenaline surges, the brain's amygdala and prefrontal cortex process information differently, allowing us to perceive events as if they're in slow motion. Have you ever been in an extreme high-stress situation where you felt like time slowed down? This occurs because in those extreme moments, our brain literally takes in more sensory details per second, creating a denser memory trace, feeling as if time literally slowed down. For those UPS pilots, those 25 seconds may have felt much longer, each alarm, vibration of the yoke, and control input registering with higher clarity as their mind races to diagnose and then attempt to solve the problem.
The bells went off in the airplane, and so every fire in the airplane is a bell. So you've got alarm bells going off. The screens in front of them are lit up with all of the malfunctions, and there are numerous ones. It's not just the engine failure.
However, when the situation may have felt unrecoverable, time may have seemed to collapse completely with just a blur of noise and motion, leaving little conscious awareness beyond their instinctive action. Have you ever seen movies depicting those intense moments with blurred slow motion and muffled or distant audio? Yes, this is intended to capture how perception narrows and how the outside fades away, to mirror what truly happens in our brain when high adrenaline floods our system. Sounds become distorted, time stretches or collapses, and awareness focuses solely on the immediate task. The pilot's perception of time was likely warped by the body's survival mechanisms, allowing them to react faster and also protecting them from the full emotional and sensory weight of the unfolding tragedy. In the final moments of life, it has been found in psychology that many people experience a powerful drive towards meaning making, which is our mind's attempt to find purpose and coherence as we realize our world could be ending. For highly trained professionals like this UPS flight crew, that meaning for them in that circumstance likely centered on their duty to protect others on the ground as much as possible, even if they knew their personal survival appeared dire.
Is home to thousands of people,
Oh God!
and the plane is heading straight for it.
The crew is likely attempting to fly their aircraft further away from civilization to avert further catastrophe, although they sadly couldn't make it very far. But what do people who know the end is near think about? Have you heard that your life will flash before your eyes in your last moment? Interestingly, science suggests there actually may be some truth to that.
The heart stopped, but the sensors still in place picked up the patient's final brain waves. The dying patient's brainwave patterns appear to correlate with those who have had a near-death experience.
It's suspected that this burst of energy may trigger a flood of vivid, emotionally charged memories, almost like reliving the most meaningful moments of life all at once.
In studies of healthy humans, brain activity recordings have shown active gamma waves as a person looks at pictures of memorable life events, a wedding, the birth of a child. The same waves appeared in abundance in the dying patient.
It's not necessarily a full chronological replay of your entire life, but rather a compressed wave of experiences that have defined who you are. In a sense, it may be our brain's final act of meaning making, linking together identity, memory, and emotion in our closing moments. Have you ever had a near-death experience where you thought of memories, loved ones, or your faith? From a neurological and psychological perspective, it's highly unlikely the crew of UPS Flight 2976 experienced any pain at the moment of impact. Although the aircraft had just taken off, it was still traveling at a very high speed, and the extreme deceleration alone would have caused immediate loss of consciousness, which would have occurred faster than the brain could have registered or interpreted any sensation as pain. Additionally, the sudden crash, explosion, and fireball from the jet fuel enough to power the loaded cargo plane from Kentucky all the way to Hawaii confirms our belief that there was no awareness of what happened and the crew felt no suffering. Therefore, what do you think consumed their final moments? Right, their final moments were likely dominated by action, concentration, and focus based on their training to save the aircraft and those on the ground when their plane suddenly experienced a catastrophic failure at the most dangerous part of the flight. When impact came, it was too sudden and forceful for conscious processing to continue, meaning they were completely spared the pain and most of the fear that we as observers naturally imagine from watching the footage. The crew felt no pain, experienced no suffering, and hardly focused on their impending death. You may also be wondering, has UPS lost any other planes? Unfortunately, yes, there were two others. The first was UPS Flight 6 that crashed near Dubai on September 3rd, 2010.
After a routine takeoff, the crew of UPS 6 can now let the autopilot take over most of the flying.
A fire on board the massive 747 caused a nightmare scenario for the two pilots, who made a valiant effort to save the plane.
Another warning light goes off. The fire is spreading smoke.
If you're interested in a suspenseful air disaster documentary, this is the one.
I barely got control of the airplane.
Because when it seems like nothing possibly could get any worse for the pilots, it sadly does.
The smoke is blinding.
I got no oxygen.
He is now on his own.
Climb immediately!
And the second lost plane was UPS Flight 1354 on August 13th, 2013, that sadly crashed in Birmingham, Alabama.
As they get closer to the airport,
did I hit something?
The pilots flying the Airbus 300 apparently didn't know that their approach was too low, while attempting to land in poor visibility.
Too low. Rain.
Oh God.
Now in the comments, what would you do if you knew those could be your final moments? Would you shout a message out to your loved ones to be recorded on the CVR, pray, give up, or completely focus on regaining control of the aircraft until the very end? Let everyone know in the comments below. Subscribe for more. And if you want exclusive content and channel perks, you can hit that join button now below, because your support makes all of this possible. RIP to all the victims involved here, and my thoughts and prayers go out to all the victims' friends and family in this terrible, terrible tragedy. See you next time.